Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Jeanette Biro here. I'm a medium and a cosmic channeler, and welcome to your weekly card reading where we dive into spirit, mediumship, and tarot and oracle. We bring it all together to see what the messages are for the week. This week, wow, this week has a ton of energy. This weekend has had a ton of energy. And I'm kind of like at the edge of my seat, waiting to observe what unfolds in our world, in the cosmos, because there's so much going on. And I do want to highlight, you'll definitely want to check out the podcast tomorrow, whether you listen to it on an audio platform or here on YouTube. I got a channeled message from Three Eye Atlas, in which I didn't expect. And I also brought that channeled message to the Three Guides of the Light for further confirmation and understanding. So it's quite a profound podcast. So I definitely recommend keep an eye out for tomorrow. But for today, let's get to the messages. So because there's a big cosmic influence right now, I wanted to use the Guiding Light Oracle. And for tarot, we're using the Wild Reflection Tarot to get some details. So while I shuffle here, I'm just going to tune into my guides, see what messages there are, and then we will carry on with the cards. So just hold on one second. This is really interesting. They're showing me this really beautiful ornate statue that's kind of like folded up like this. And it actually looks kind of like grief. It looks like grief and just like, what is the word I'm looking for? Kind of like exasperation and depletion in grief. Okay. Very expressive. And this is coming from my council as a like general message from them, that these feelings that we're feeling with the intensity are not for the faint of heart, but they're also not for nothing, right? The experiences we're having, the depths of which we are transforming, are not for nothing. And there's purpose in this evolution and this transformation. And they're saying it's so important that you hold tight to that, because we're kind of reaching this pinnacle right now of kind of the hardest parts. And when I feel it, because as soon as they say that and they show me that, I'm like, well, how long is this pinnacle? I get the sense that it sort of lasts in its crazy intensity into November. And then we kind of see waves of it, right? And then it starts to sort of simmer. So they're saying it's a very complex, layered event on the horizon that affects us on every level. So that's why it's kind of, for some people, it's really hard to ground right now, because not only are you having to ground your body, like your physical body from the vibrational changes, you have to ground your mental body from all the chaos that you can pick up on, as well as the good. But the chaos is, if we're not careful of what we're watching, what we're consuming, the chaos can outweigh the good. So we're having to navigate that mental sphere. And then we're having to navigate like the energetic sphere as well, of what feels right for me, what doesn't feel right for me, right? Like we're then also having to pay attention to the spiritual aspect. We're paying attention to the cosmic aspect and the humanitarian aspect. There's so many levels that we are living with like acute awareness. It can be completely overwhelming for the body. And so a lot of people might find they sort of fall into this grief. And this grief can really come from being in the void. And it's that void of being in between the old ways and the new ways. And as we're reaching this pinnacle right now, many will feel like they're in this void, carrying this grief, and they don't know what to do with it. So let's see what the cards have to say. Okay, very interesting. Okay, so the first card out we have is energy protection. And this says, your belief that you are not safe may be inviting in energy that is throwing you off balance. So this card really speaks about, again, being aware of the energies that you're taking in. the energies that you're putting yourself around, whether that be people, places, environments, but also the energetics of what you're consuming, right? Mentally, emotionally, and physically. Notice the energy, just like Spirit said before. It's very potent right now, but you can also find the energies that are in balance, the things that bring you that joy, that recalibration. So really pay attention to your energy right now, okay? The next one is this freedom of choice card. I think this is really interesting. It says, your choices are yours to make. Don't allow others to make choices for you. And I think this is very significant right now too, is using our free will of choice. What are we focusing our time on? What are we focusing our energy on? In addition, now, have we never been in such a time now where free will choice is so imperative? It is absolutely imperative that we become these like conscious choosers of the reality we're creating, because we are literally creating the reality anew now. There's been so much crumbling that's happened in the old paradigms, and there's this space for new creation happening right now, and we create in every moment. And so it has never been more important than now to be recognizing this freedom of choice. And I also want to say, this card is a number 2. If you look on it closely, this card is a number 2. And this really speaks to like pairings that can come together, like the bringing things together, bringing alignments together, bringing partnerships together. Again, these free will choices to choose the direction of what you're creating in co-creation with others and the universe, right? With you and your spirit team, you and your family. Freedom of choice is so important, even though in many ways sometimes we feel like, there's less and less choice. We still have to stay true to where that true creation comes from, which is from within. Okay. Now, the other card we have is Shining Star. And this says, it's time for you to take front and center stage. And this really speaks to you taking the chance on yourself, on your voice, on your choices, trusting that your choices and what you actually think really does matter. You matter. You are the shining star. You are center stage in your life. You're the main character. And it matters what happens to you, and it matters what you do, right? So consider this main character energy, consider the choices you're making, and consider what energy you're feeding into and also kind of taking information from, okay? So this is our kind of general idea. So let's get a little bit more detail in the tarot. Here. Interesting. Okay, so first card out we have is the Tower card. This is never a card we want to see. However, this speaks to these like pieces that are still crumbling around us, right? There's still tower moments. We're going to still feel these tower moments. The energy is intense. However, there's a really neat thing happening in these tower moments. What they're bringing is a realization that certain cycles in your life with this 10 of Swords card, certain cycles in your life are over. They're complete. They have crumbled. They're done, right? No longer needed. So as you experience these tower feelings, right? Recognize, is it actually falling apart, or is it just coming to completion? Right? Because sometimes we get so used to being in this sort of like trauma loop of bad things happening, which is understandable because there's been a lot of shift. But what if it's actually bringing it to completion now? And that's what I'm getting with this. Whatever crumbles is bringing it to completion, the final piece. And the reason why I say that too is because then we have the Three of Pentacles card, and this is working together. And this is why I felt such a draw with this card here, Freedom of Choice, that it's a number 2 card. So it's partnerships. And the Three of Pentacles talks about working together in partnerships, parts coming together to create something new. So it's really important, again, where you're focusing your energy. Are you focusing it on this, or are you focusing it on new creation? At the same time, It's not that this is just a simple choice. There's grief in the tower moments. And that's that energy that Spirit was talking about in the beginning with that imagery they were showing me is like, yes, there's grief. And you have all been through so much. So much has towered, but so much is coming to completion. So when we see the Ten of Swords is that energy of like, it's dead, done, and over. It's not dying, it's dead, done, and over. And I don't mean literally dying, but I mean the energetics of it. It's in its completion point for a reconfiguration and a repartnership and a redo in a new frequency and a new energy. And also, anytime we have a Trinity, there's a power in the Trinity. That's why Trinities are so significant, mind, body, spirit, right? When you invoke the power of the Trinity and empower yourself through that consciously, you really start to change the trajectory of where you're going. And it brings this kind of next level frequency of creation. So I just want to take 2 more cards to see where we're going now. Apologize for my sniffly nose because I just had like a sneeze and cough attack. And I'm not even sick. Whew. Anyways, okay. So where are we going now? This is really interesting. Again, it comes back to energy protection. So first one we have is the Seven of Wands, which really speaks about protecting your energy, right? Keep a bubble around yourself. Choose what you're interacting with. That is where your safeguard is. And it is echoed by the Hermit card, which again is kind of pulling back, pulling into that energetic protection here, right? So it's really about freedom of choice. What are you doing? What are you interacting with? With the towers, with the recreation. Look at this energy that this person in this picture is creating. They're creating this new hub frequency because they're tending to themselves. So really, I would say then this week is a really important week to tend to yourself, tend to your needs this week. See what is calling to you to recalibrate, and you will end up in that Three of Pentacles frequency rather than being stuck in the Tower frequency. So I will leave that with all of you for now. Again, do check out the podcast tomorrow. It's a channeled message from Three Eye Atlas, as well as insights from the Three Guides of the Light. It's very powerful, and I hope you all check it out. So thank you all so much as always. I wish you a beautiful week, and I will see you soon.